record on this computer. Hi, Kim. This is Fire Thieves 11.
Yes, it is.
The recording has begun. That other recording wasn't a recording at all.
No.
I hope.
I feel like if they can, yes. If we know people who can adjust sound on things, we certainly can deal with it. So.
Looks like there's going to be some owls in the house tonight, for sure.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty big reading. There's Shirley Chan. Okay, I imagine those are friends of the readers. And we're just a couple minutes out.
Mm.
And there's the chat screen.
There it is.
So I am now texting you privately Shirley's bio.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote it from the first person, but I think you can work with that.
Shirley. These are, and Anastasia. These are KR poets.
And KR got us the third poet for
which is good.
For number 12. Which, since we've gone over on the youth, we're having one for next time will be fine.
Well, actually, we had broken even on the youth because we didn't have youth at the mime troupe.
It all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great thing. Okay, it's 6. I'm going to start letting them in. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
There's Kitty. Hi, Pablo. Hi, Brenda. Hi, James. Look at these. Look at all these beautiful people coming in the room. Poets.
Pablo Rosales. Hello. It's been a while.
Wow.
Hi.
All right, more people coming in the door. Hi, Ingrid. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Shirley. Hi, Tom. Ellen. We have 1 feature in. We have 2 features in. We have 3 features in. All right, welcome to the Fire Thieves first wave. We're just going to give it a few more minutes. It's like, it's like we open the doors and people arrive.
Mm. Hey, Ma.
And then hopefully we can start at the 15-minute mark.
Okay.
One of our other features, Anastasia's here. Hi, Anastasia.
Hi.
Hello.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, kind of. You know what struck me today is that we're all going to have our timing for readings a bit tweaked by the experience of reading on Zoom. And when we get back to reading in person, it's going to be a little
funny.
Weird. Why are people applauding? What's that noise?
I think it's the idea. I think it's the idea of being able to gather in public yet once again at some point, even if it is in 2022.
Yeah.
You know that first one's going to be very kumbaya.
I don't know. It could be it might be out of control for all we know. And Jennifer has joined us. That's it. All of our features have arrived in the room. I guess we'll give it a few more minutes to wait for guests, but you know, you can send up the bat
There
light.
you are, Jen.
The bat signal for me anytime you're ready, Kim.
You just said something that was probably important that my brain did not decode at all.
Oh, I was just mentioning that all of our features are here, so we could theoretically start, but we can wait however long you want to wait.
You said bat signal and expected her to know what you meant. That's what happened.
She knows what I mean when I say bat signal. Yeah, Kim and I have that. We have that thing. I think, at least I think we do.
We have had that thing for sure. But again, as with when we start reading in public, once again, I have a feeling it's going to be a bit
A little more challenging.
okay. So,
Oh yes, Kara Morrison is now coming into the room. There she is, Mama Mo. Welcome, Mama Mo. Welcome, E.K. Keith. There's Sharon. Oh my goodness, what an amazing crew.
I'm excited. I'm excited about all of these people.
Yeah, they're still crowding in the door too.
It's that velvet rope.
Yeah. It feels good to rub up against it a little bit.
Wow. Gorgeous room.
There we go. Okay. Well,
Okay.
I do think for the most part that everybody's here, well, mostly everybody's here that we were expecting to be here. Are you ready to get started?
Well, here's my question. We're starting with the Anastasia and Shirley. Shirley first.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah,
wondering if Shirley's got everybody she's been waiting for in the room already. I know, it's
Great.
awful. Look at
Great
me.
question.
Take a deep breath. Look at me, deep breath. Unmute yourself and tell me if the people you are expecting are all here.
And they're all here.
Right on. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say, because we couldn't really do workshops for you guys, which is unfair. I have a trick. Are you comfortable with reading to people?
Am I comfortable? What?
Are you comfortable with the reading phenomenon, or are you a little anxious?
I'm a little anxious because this is my first time.
Okay. I have advice.
You are echoing, Kim,
I am echoing.
and you're kind of hard to hear too. I can hear you okay right now, but I don't know where that echo's coming from.
Okay. Is it still happening?
No, so far so good.
Okay. I'm going to make a suggestion. Put your hands on your rib cage. Take a deep breath and push your ribs with your breath. Push them out. And then let the breath.
Hold on. Hi, Lamb. Lamb, you. A lot of nice. Thank you. Great. We're good to go.
Right on. So my last bit of advice is this. The microphone is yours. It's really tempting the first time you do it to rush a little bit because everything goes a little faster when you read for the first few times. So just think half as fast and twice as loud as you think you have to be. You will never have an audience that is more ready to have you succeed than this one. Everybody is absolutely behind you on this. And Shirley is a Chinese American woman born and raised in San Francisco, a casual writer who mainly writes poetry as an act of catharsis, ranging from topics about the self and personal relationships to the small moments in the world. Let us all give a quiet applause to Shirley Chan.
Yay.
Hello, my name is Shirley Chan, and I'll be starting off with my first poem. Moth. The moon is the lampshade of the sun. When Helios, whose flesh is burning ichor and golden glory, strips the layers of my skin to the whites of my bones, leaving me blind and drained. Selene slips into the echoes of my melting pains with her gentle glow and translucent touch. She soothes the bruises of my tortured aches, blessing me with her feather kiss. The moon is the lampshade of the sun, shielding me from his brilliant majesty, yet leaving me longing for warmth once more, absent from the protection of her love. My second poem, Storge. My tiger, my blood, do not fear what you don't know. Life is fluid, changing and unchanging, like the stars. You are born from that combustion, which sinks into the bed of velvet darkness. You are beautiful, with the scars of your dotted skin, and those you shelter inside the crevices of your ribs. Allow my voice to guide you like yours did for me once before, when stinging tears choked and tore me limb from limb, when my heartstrings tangled in agonizing knots. Even when your mind contests in the dark swamps of pitch night, wilting at the unrelenting moans of regrets and unmitigated worries, let your raining laughter bring about sandalwood and honey, simmered by the gentle warmth of your integrity and fierce compassion. Screaming in triumph, in love, you're not more, you're not less, you're yours. And my last poem, Dear, funny, passionate child, mommy's favorite, though only because you look like her. In the softness of your skin and victim honey dyes, the color of your skin, your face was too dark, and your brows too thick. Too lazy, too spoiled, not clever or not intelligent enough, she said. While you were in the comforts of mom's still warm arms, years before she ran cold, she said to you, those boys slapped your supple cheek and laughed at your quivering lips when you had the strength to bare your teeth. Because you're a small, tiny Asian girl, they think you're weak, you're weak, you're weak. Weak like the numbing body you try to control, latching onto the roots of your brain, a cruel hook on your emotions, venom spilling into the walls of your mangled organs and guts, lapping greedily, eyes stung red and swollen. Weak when you held a dull blade against your skin, testing the sharpness, pressing harder, as if doing so can silence your ghosts, just for a bit, only to feel sick before you split rubies, because even you couldn't tear apart the person you hated the most. You had a hunger to hurt, choking on the fumes of blind fury. For what? Angry at the world, who didn't know who you are, and neither did you. If only you knew when you promised Dad that you'd never be broken like your sister. If only you knew you'll gorge on the same sickness, already seething in your veins. Too weak to reach toward a hand because you thought no one wanted you anyways. You'd rather let your own squeeze the air out of your own throat, leaving bruises to show. But you are strong enough to pick up your bones and raise a home inside this carven gap, but you're strong enough to bury these memories alive for another time to cry. Hold on to the mask and reach out to give love to those who need love. One day, you'll learn to remove your hollow happiness and the aches of your agony so you can give love to yourself. You with sun-blessed skin, too determined, too kind, not happy or not joyful enough. You the one who needed your love the most. Thank you.
Absolutely woo. Well, that was brilliant. Really brilliant. I actually want that last poem for something. We will talk. Our next reader, Anastasia Rutledge, is a young, aspiring poet raised in... Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. We can hear you.
Okay. I can't see you guys moving, so I just got that message. Your signal is intermittent. Okay. Anastasia Rutledge is a young, aspiring poet raised in San Francisco. She's a part-time student, a longtime enjoyer of writing and poetry, and brand new to the writing scene. Please welcome her to the Fire Thieves. Yay.
Hi, I'm Anastasia. I am uncontrollably nervous right now, so please bear that in mind. I have 4 poems to read, and this first one is called Ode to Summer Rain. Air sinks under the burden of moisture, an intake of breath like a gulp of water, except stifling and oppressive. Sweat trickles lethargically down parched bodies that grow sluggish in the summer heat. The sky exposes herself in shades of amber, and an old wrinkled town is cast in her honey hues that whisper peace. The smell of rain invades unsuspecting noses, earthy and fresh like life itself. A storm is coming. Then water plummets from above. Pale, mountainous gods have taken pity on the withered, wilted corpses below. Life cascades onto their arid faces, quenching those dry, thirsty souls and amassing on cracked concrete, healing a bruised and bloodied and broken earth. Okay, this is kind of weird. My next poem is called Home. You had always wondered what it would be like when the earth no longer yielded to you, or what it would be like to be swaddled in blankets of quiet moss, to be entombed amongst the tall, brittle grasses that stretch in the vast open sky. You wondered what it was like to be at peace, to become the roses you never stopped to smell, content to just be. You wondered what it was like to let the world fill your lungs and bury herself inside your chest, to let her carve her name into your paralyzed heart and claim you forever. Now you know. It feels good to let go, like the exhale at the end of a lengthy tunnel, speckled cheeks painted blushing rose as bursting lungs yearn for air. It feels good not to bear the world's gravity upon your sagging, crippled spine, and to let her carry you instead. It feels good to melt into her, grateful for the peace that creeps inside you as insects feast on your corroded flesh and new life finds shelter in your crevices. Soon, wildflowers will burst forth from your chest in sunset reds and summer golds. Soon, you will wash away on the tides of time, becoming the land and sea and everything in between. Soon, you will be given back to the mother who birthed you, an ignorant babe once again, and your rotting figure will sink into her flesh, so warm and inviting, and you will finally be home. These next two are fairly new, so bear with me. This next one is called Breathe. You lie awake in dimly lit silence, inflicted with thoughts not your own, that still speak with your reluctant tongue. You lie awake trembling, soul screeching as serrated knives of invading disquiet press against your consciousness, beads of scarlet convening where invisible lacerations have sprung. You lie awake wishing for sleep to wash over you and deaden your restless mind. It does not come. You wish for someone to hold you, for a soothing hand to stroke your hair and salve your fears, for a sonorous voice to drown out your own panicked screams. You pray for some miraculous tonic to temper the incensed shadows that breathe in your mind's recesses, for a remedy so sanative it could at long last drive off the fangs of those silhouetted serpents, leaving you in solitude to lap at your own wounds. There is no such thing. For now, you must hold yourself. You must be the compass to guide yourself through raging storms, the ship to shelter yourself from the onslaught of tempestuous seas and seething heavens, the gust of wind to fill your own sails and carry you home. For now, you must soothe yourself, like how a newborn babe's midnight cries slowly cradle their master back into sound slumber. For now, you must ground yourself, spreading your own roots into the mahogany floorboards beneath you, unfurling your own gnarled yet budding branches, and stretching your trunk past that paint-cracked ceiling into starless sky. For now, you must take deep breaths, feeling your lungs compress and expand like the ebb and flow of cerulean waves crashing quietly upon the sand, or the mindless swaying of harbored ships upon still waters. For now, you will not be okay, but for now, you will tell yourself that that's all right. For now, until your eyes finally slide shut and a welcome drowse falls over you and your troubled mind finds quiet, you will just breathe. This is my last one, titled Atlas. To Atlas, Titan of the far west, who stands at Earth's edge, a mountain among mortals, and holds the sky upon collapsing shoulders, yet never yields. How do you bear that weight? How much easier would it be to let your charge engulf you, to finally crumble under the colossal weight of that Empyrean sphere and set free your own weary soul? Why still do you struggle? Is it the fear of death that pushes you to stay your course, or the love of those whom you cherish, or the hope that one day some heaven-sent messenger will unshackle your shattered limbs at last? Or is it perhaps simple, inexorable defiance? How can you stand to protect a world that loathes your very being, or stand to shield those that robbed from you a life beyond such agony and anguish? How can I forgive the thieving world that stole my youth and fed it back to me in small, untraceable doses, injecting only echoes back into collapsing veins? How can I forget the poison billets it shot long ago, or the scars and lead reminders that remain embedded in my soul? How can I learn to shoulder my own skies when they sag so heavy with unsung thunder and unspilt cloudbursts? Perhaps yours is a strength that could never be gained. Perhaps it is the kind that has always been there, lurking in the deepest caverns of your Titan heart, the kind that blossoms into fruition all on its own, without careful cultivation. Perhaps it is the kind whose seed dwells within all of us, mortal and God alike. Perhaps it is the strength not to overcome, but to endure, to stand firm despite the endless onslaught of scarlet violence brought forth from tyrannical mouths, to stand unmoving despite the torrential downpour of indiscriminate hatred and embitterment, to still stand tall under the weight of our own skies, for life and love and hope and ourselves. Perhaps I too have such a thing buried inside my naive chest. Perhaps it too will one day bloom. Yours, Atlas. I'm done. Thank you.
Great job, Anastasia. Great job,
awesome.
Shirley. You guys are tremendous. Thank you so
You're
much.
both incredible. And Anastasia, do you are you familiar with Thea Matthews' reading?
No.
There's something about the way you read that reminds me of, I mean, she's been at it longer, but there's something resonant there. Look her up on YouTube and listen to her a bit. It's a compliment.
Okay, thanks.
As a lot of people nod, yes, it's a compliment. Our next reader comes to us from the Owls and is frequently anthologized. And thank you for introducing us, Paul. Genevieve Yuen.
Hey, Jen. Might be taking her a moment here. Hey, Jen. Yeah, Jen, you need to come off of mute. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to this incredible event. But I have about 9 poems, but they're pretty short. And if I happen to have to sip tea once in a while, bear with me. I have an unfriendly throat. Okay, the first poem is very, very, very short. It's an old poem. And when I dug it up recently, I realized it reminded me of Black Lives Matter. It's called Notions. Poverty animals in ugly cages, magic dreaming their way out into the wealth of gold forests, while old men transform into boys and birds kiss stupidity away. Intelligent trees sleep without fear. This next one is called Woman Fraught. Where's the whimsy, woman fraught? Green neon eyes shut skin tight. She snicker snacks frowning and mooning in the shorter days and longer nights. Woman fraught, her Kent cigarettes smoked the bare butts, the ashtray a graveyard of cinders. Her once rambunctious laughter reduced the teetering moods of peaks and valleys and juju trees, shrill and totter. Woman fraught, she schmoozes with a dark prince, with his poker red eyes, her spectral companion who heads her down a wrong way lane. She fantasizes the red rodeo, riding the bucking bronco, who stumbles on her fallen body, now new mounds of crumpled bone. Woman fraught, wake up, unshut your skin-tight eyes, ponder the delight of starlit night, and use your rose to smell the rose. This next one I've kind of labeled Amoral and Unstable Fables number 5. The White Astronaut, a revised scientific POV. The polymath, 1/4 Eurasian American albino astronaut, manfully steers close to the ring of fire, one of Saturn's moons of invisible fire that emits 2 million degrees Fahrenheit, only to discover that secretive fire operates under an albinoization, a confluence of vapors and gases issuing white, fairy stardust, which escapes the average stargazing astronomer who can only see the flotsam jetsam-ishness of ordinary cosmic phantasmagoria. But still, what a sight. Okay, this next one is called Epitaph. Dreams of my ashes blending with sacrosanct earth, becoming one with teeming organisms, the organic subterranean world. Worms visit me and notice the strange new element, a different smell, and otherwise texture. In fervent soil, bits of underground flotsam jetsam mingle with me, surround me, penetrate me, enriching my complex chemistry, breaking down my original composition, my ashes occasionally tilled, disturbed by the tiller's hand, upturned and mixed again with new ingredients. Tiny seeds nudge me as they grow and grow. Roots appear of orange-hued edibles called carrots by the land people. Other roots appear, entirely different designs called flowers, blues, pink, cerise, deep fuchsia, of fragrances and sensibilities. Flowers which the landed ones use to decorate, celebrate, honor. Here I lie under the ground, in the ground, return to a basic and fundamental groove, where all things lie in temporary peace, then follow inevitable upheaval. Eons later, I am cosmic dust, maybe something closer to infinity. I'm glad to hear that the previous readers, poets, were really nervous about being on Zoom, because it helped me, you know, I'm nervous about Zoom too, but it's okay. I felt it was reassuring, definitely. This next one is called Forever the Savage Country. Transmutation, poet's light, borrows from phoenix ash, from stench of rotting horse, from sun's rays drenching bewildered and frightened soldiers, now inert masses or solo in twisted postures that testify to inglorious war. Midday sun begins organic breaking down in process chemicals of a different mix. Flesh sagging off bone frame, nourishes soil and worm. Ominous birds feast, likewise the wild dogs. Air fills with death's odors. Poem's light rises, borrows against the debt of war. This next one people have some confusion with. It's called Blue Hotel. And I want to make people aware Blue Hotel represents the paradise of jihadis and so-called martyrs. And the word I use, fondouk, is an Arabic word of North Africa, like Morocco, and it means hotel. Blue Hotel beckons you, cold droplets from its decrepit fountains. The virgins are nowhere. The vast Fantasia fondouk in disarray. Fruit trees gone sour, missing full bloom. Where are the 77 virgins, nubile, alive and warm, to fulfill dreams of embattled warriors buried deep in the sandscape of war? And crystal memories of young sons by parents honored, supreme sacrifice to their God. While blue-veined birds of paradise doze in the great blue corridors, humming dirge-like songs of death and afterlife. This no man's land of chimera, frozen, alternate reality. This is a slightly longer piece. I have to admit I borrowed 3 lines from the poet Norma Smith, but I thank her for her 3 lines, which helped me launch this poem. It's called Prayer. One, prayer who learned to bite and sprint, gnash its teeth at invisible wall, rip through barbed and garbled wire. Soundlessly, the young ones sleep in shiny, cold, metallic sheets, dreaming of mother, milk, of cactus days, and simple village ways. 2, gods of shovels and black veils await the caged young bodies who flounder and float in abscess and scorn. Who are these white men who drain the lifeblood of young ones, children who drink the bloodless poison wine of their captors? Where is mother, father, sister, brother, gone forever and ever? 3, a mother's joy and clutched breath. With fortune and the eye of the phoenix, children reunite, return from US border captors, away from the icy cold men. But who remain in thousands, lost in the maze of the devil's making, forever and ever. This is the proverbial, last but not least. It's a poem that I want to finish off with on a lighter note. It's called A Secret Fantasy Garden, dedicated to All Retreat 2009. Though morose roses grow in our garden, droopy fuchsias take happy naps. Rows of rhododendrons rise, enjoying the sunlight's prize. Lilies lounge in steadfast comfort, knowing their lives are good. Fruit trees, fig, lemon, pear, avocado, aspire to their moment's truth when they're juicy and ripe to the tooth. While watermelons will wallow, caressed by the sun, cookie trees reach nigh to the sky. Chocolate pansies primp and preen, vanilla grapes make wine supreme. Strawberries and huckleberries spar with blue cherries. Butterscotch grasses gather warmth, butterflies melting. Life goes on. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you, Genevieve. Our next reader is, well, we've done a few capers together poetically. Norma Smith. I think we originally met at a Gears Turning, a poetry series that I used to run, that I may run again. Who knows what happens at the end of all of this. Whose work I really love and became aware of through her book from Nomadic Press. She's one of those poets that when she shows up at a reading, I always think, even just to read for the open, just delightful human being and a really great wordsmith. Please welcome Norma Smith.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you, Kim and Paul, for bringing us together for this nervous healing. I'm going to start with this. This is the only poem that includes Western medicine. It's called Natural Skeptics Crossing Paths. My orthopedist is deeply skeptical of chiropractic, acupuncture, the magic of massage, all of which soothe my symptoms reliably. When I express my skepticism of his recommended steroid injections, which might or might not work, my concern about suppressed healing and damage to my bones, his eyebrow twitches, but he kindly promises to keep his fingers crossed for what he calls my natural healing without his recommended treatment. I promise to keep my fingers crossed for his other patients while he does surgery with his fingers crossed for me. And when I first got the invitation, this happened when I first got the invitation to read this evening. It's called Fire Thieves at Water's Edge, an East Bay Jew's prayer for healing. I write in the shadow of the shell mound, that shelter. When I intone my desire, may my words be acceptable to you, my rock. It is your ancestors I pray to. I pray here, not in the sense of asking for some thing, some fortune, some safety from harm or disease, some long good life for my grandchildren, that I might not sacrifice them, or for some good solid poems reaching out to me. I pray a kind of embarrassed gratitude that you have allowed me so far to set my writing desk on your land, the same land where not so long ago grizzlies ambled down from the dry summer hills to the water's edge, to scoop returning salmon from the bay, to pry open mussels, to graze on salt grass. Thank you. My granddaughters thank you and make their promises to you. And speaking of granddaughters, this is called Visiting Without Touching. And thank you, my sister Ruth, for being here. These days, you and I prepare spider web and caterpillar soup in the garden, where we meet in open air, masked and longing to touch. This world appears not much different than it seemed last winter. We season our cauldron almost the way your mother does, with ginger, cardamom, turmeric, garlic, cumin, cinnamon, and harmonica dust. Dance where we danced last year. Bump elbows where last year we embraced. Every recipe, our heart's desire. You spend your time learning to sound letters, to count beyond the barrier that tries to contain us. And this is for Nala also. This is from a longer piece that I'm trying to place. It's too long, really. Well, anyway, it's called I Get Lost in Jingletown, and it's a love poem to Oakland. This is called Breath. It is Diwali. The windows of the house are open. My granddaughter and I inspect six-legged cousins in the creek nearby. We plant our wandering feet, our walking sticks in the rocky soil of migration and crossroads. If we live here, we belong to the hills, filled on the surface that faces the sunlight with oak and seed grass, acorn and wild grain. Hills peopled only last year by grizzly and mule deer, by trout that love the streams falling by late autumn into our summer-browned arms. In this new world, a vivid gathering moves alongside us, their rabbit skin purses full of riches that make a sound our children will recognize. I'm going slower than I thought, so I think I'm going to skip some. Skip that one. Okay. Biology. Splintered 1,000 ways, we find the path to hold it together, to repair what was broken on that day when Hashem fell apart.
Can I stop you, Norma? Norma, can I stop you for a moment? So there's somehow your microphone is getting muted or muted somehow, or getting distorted.
Well, maybe am I
That's
distorted?
better.
Is
Yeah,
that better?
that's good. Sorry, well, I wanted to ask you to start again on that one.
Okay. I think since there's some kind of obscure stuff, I'm going to skip that one and.
Hey, Norma.
Okay, not to interrupt, but I think it might be the papers.
Yeah,
because I'm also hearing
the shuffling of your papers is creating a lot of sound on the microphone.
Okay, where is the microphone? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I'll try to keep them away, but I like to look at you too.
Okay, you're still but you've gone back to being very quiet now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to be louder, and if I seem to be unstable, which happens sometimes, I'll take my video off and you'll just see the bay or the ocean. Grounded. There are still birds in the smoke-heavy air, flying blind, still following the sharp edge of the V. They falter as if to crash against another message bearing flock, another formation still searching for dry land after so long on the water, now that the last olive tree has been uprooted in the Holy Land and burns in the strangely bitter neighbor's field. We are clueless. We send another, this one a lone, leather-winged, saber-beaked raptor out into the parched wilderness. She searches for moisture. She returns from the desert, un axolotl held gently aloft, las dos luchando por vida. The two swim toward us through the acrid heaven. Someone must learn to welcome our distant relatives who can teach us to breathe again as we move overland, just above the ground, in flight, crying, ojalá, ojalá. We are expecting the full moon sometime in the week to come, but the moon wanes instead. The sea pleads, tries to pull that familiar silver face toward us. We are still here. We beg. We need your light to read by. The rabbit in the dark field knows where to find a glimmer of bioluminescence she shares with the soft creatures so far below in the oceanic space. We are coming for each other. We have no choice. We learn to give birth, to breathe underwater, inhabited by the forms we abandoned there. They propose a reckoning, apportioning the terms in the first tongue spoken on the land, learned on arrival by those who were listening. This lunar gravity, scarred but not broken, might reemerge, drummed into us again by a lineage not lost to the waves. Two more. Is that right? Oh, more than two more. Okay. How am I doing for time? How's it going? Okay. All right. I'm going to just read these. Okay. So another eco poem, another love poem. This is called Centrifuge, Rounding the Corner, from back when we could travel. We drive along the coast, ocean, inlet, sound, cove, bay. Every mile brings us closer, and yet more distant. We hug the curve. We are losing the world we knew as we round the first corner. We pass clear-cut hills, what was deep forest shamefully exposed. I can only imagine what you feel, the dimming from inside, what was bright and sharp, full of talk, losing ground. To let the stump stand that way, remains of what once was, gives shape to the edge of the old highway, chattering clumsily the cold, hard truth through every disheartened town. The diner at every bend serves up fried this and that, white flour gravy over everything. Along the coast, grilled local fish offered at market price, never high enough to cover costs, while fresh tariffs make everything else impossible and cruel. We eavesdrop, listen for hints of it. The folks here already, dirt poor, topsoil threatened, everything costs, and everyone who has belonged here forever growing sparse, fish, elk, crops, hope. I am learning how to be kind all over again, while you forget from one moment to the next. We hold close the particles still at our core. This turn in the road, what we're here for, the way always now is unexpected. Still, the intensity of green caught at the corner of our eyes, your hand nearly silent, familiar on my thigh. What we're here for, we coast. For now, we coast toward what we're here for, moving to ward off time. We move toward home. Okay. I think I'm going to skip that one and two more. This one is also a love poem. And it's pretty new. It's called Pet. The dog sleeps or snores with her eyes open. She finds herself lying beside my desk all day. In the middle of the night, I feel a muzzle, soft but insistent, letting me know she needs comfort. Day and night, she wonders what her person is doing at home all day. She's not complaining, but wants an explanation that includes a reassuring and nearly constant caress. And finally, this is called Our Gods Defy Us. Our gods love each other. My god's yours, yours mine. Hoary-haired, bearded lady stirring the pot, with her sister gods. Black cloaked, she lifts her wings, glides toward you over the sharpest crest of moonstruck ridge between the deep-cut river and its bank. She lights and surveys the terrain that is hers, prays in her travels that the ones you pray to, winged or jealous, animal brothers or stone, shrubs, mountains, invisible, nameless or unnameable, alone, semi-human, will let her enter their lands. She ducks her whiskery chin in thanks when she's invited in and is asked to a seat at the table. The gods break bread together or take a bowl of rice, beans, lentils, or barley groats, wrapped in a thin blanket of any local grain, pounded or root. It might be half-leavened wheat baked on stones, sprinkled with za'atar, or cornbread, johnny cakes, fry bread. They sip mezcal, sake, fruit of the vine, mead, or fermented leaves steeped in fresh spring water. They feed each other's children, the milk of goats, sheep, domesticated buffalo, sweeten it with honey that comes from everywhere, every blossom. My people lend you our young women to wet nurse your orphans. They bring with them a portion of harvest or fresh kill when your harvest or hunt is thin. Make peace even at the table, even if it is only in our old stories told by the eldest child, skilled at teaching the youngest to ask questions. Our gods lie down together in the night garden and share their smooth and brittle skins, their moons, their finely tuned orbits. Make space for each other. Our demons love each other too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for evoking the spring we were going to read next to. You know, times have shifted everything, and that this was not what was intended, but it is what, you know, we are here for each other, and that's a good thing. I love your work. Thank you, Norma. Our next reader is Jennifer Barone, who is a ray of sunshine in human form if you haven't met her in person, and writes like one. And today did not start well for me, I'm just saying. And we'll talk individually about it if people are curious, but I'm not going to invest in it too deeply, but just to say that I actually needed the healing tonight. I feel like it's happening, and I'm really grateful to all of you. And Jennifer Barone has an incredible book called Saproso, and it's got a great tomato on the cover of it, which makes me very happy too. I could say tons of things about Jennifer. She's done a lot for poetry in San Francisco, years of co-organizing a reading series and many, many other things. Prepare to be dazzled. Jennifer Barone.
Thank you. The good part about Zoom is that you can see my cameo that I'm wearing very closely. This was made by my grandmother, and these poems are dedicated to my grandmother, and they're for her and about her and my family. Del ovo. She holds the egg. She is the egg. Her body, soil for the egg, creates the egg. She who builds, who moves, who dances, bird woman when women were birds and sirens, who swam the bay of Santa Lucia. Her eyes granted third eye vision, who could pass between worlds and thresholds Where Virgil hid her feathered egg inside Castel del Ovo, the Poeta Magica wandered her sacred shores, the egg suspended in a glass amphora from shafters underground. Over the heads of philosophers and ghosts, the primordial seed held swinging from the ceiling, a caged siren song kept the city safe from volcanic eruptions. The egg rolls softly over skin in the healer's hands, the pure and powerful egg with its delicate shell, lifting the eye from you, lifting your fears, lifting the heaviness of your earthly being in the garden of delights, the egg protected in its nest by the feathers of the mother, warming and coaxing you into fruition, hen feathers that sprinkled holy water when dipped in oil, blessed the brow, feathers left floating in the blue from sirens who sang the great song of their longing. Listen, listen to this song that washes upon the shore, a wave that beats against the tide. Remember, remember where you come from. Where the people were called Corallini. They crossed themselves before diving underwater, muttering prayers to the women who lived beneath the waves. They would descend into her water world looking for the red hands of the sea. The Corallini harvested coral for amulets and talisman, carved into decorative beads wrapped around the necks of women, vibrant crimson, the color of passionate blood of magma bubbling in the belly of the volcano, fiery fingers that reach for you through cool blue waves from the grotto of her belly. The island is a siren. Her shore calls sailors and women, sun, moon, stars, lovers, dreamers. The underworld has rivers. They all lead into the sea. Once, when the Madonna was a siren who stopped lava from flowing into our town, Immacolata, whose breast poured forth promises of nourishment and protection, corallo branches held to the chest, hidden in pockets, worn as rings, corallo carved into sea nymphs and women wearing flowers in their hair. Coral carved by my nonna as my soon-to-be grandfather walked back and forth under her balcony, wondering who was that siren who fashioned cameos under the Torresi sun. What passions come from the sea, from the heat of the earth, from the sun burning the land. The red hands that reach for heaven may also reach into the depths. And so we cross ourselves before we dive in, not knowing what we will find. We ask for the blessing of her coral hands to hold us. Sacred Heart. Her heart is on fire, burning roses. 3 arrows pierce her flesh. Everything is too intense. A pulsating light overcomes me. My heart is heavy with sorrow, anger without a safe space to go. It knows about compression, underpinning frustrations that cause eruptions, fire that can purify, fire that could run from the wild spark in your eye through all the rooms until the whole house turns to dust, leaving me with nothing but bones. It feels like the whole world is on fire, not only in the hearth, but in the sky. I walk into her flaming heart and it burns away the frayed edges of me until I forget who I thought I was and I remember who I am. A fire in the sacred grotto of her ribs. From the thermal waters, I walk into the sea and grow fins again. She reminds me, don't forget that you come from fire too. From family who live on Vesuvio's flanks, remember, although the world appears steady for a moment, underneath the skin we are burning with intensity. What lies dormant within wants to come to the surface, into the blazing sun. It's just a matter of how. a slow lava flow snaking through the landscape, or unexpected outbursts, not only to erupt in chaos, but to create a new world. In the magma, the volcanic soil is the luminous seed of joy in the center of our sorrow. I go sifting, walking over smoldering shards, excavating tombs of my ancestors, speaking to the dead, the dark rooms of my psyche in dreams, where shadows turn into angels. Her heart ablaze so intense frightened me as a child. Now I enter the purifying fire willingly. I don't mind the swords piercing her flesh or tears of blood dripping from her eyes. I've collected some wounds of my own now, growing from the crevice starved of water, eyes that finally held the movements of the sea. And where I grew scars came mystic roses and their fragrance, the glowing flame that only emanates when a heart bursts open. Wounded healer. My wounds are my power, they say. I collect them like feathers. Recreate wings I've forgotten to wear. Retrace my grandmother's hand, turning lace into sacred geometry with hidden messages, turning shells into women that sing. The voice of sirens still echo in the wall of sea caves when you're still enough to listen. I'm learning a language that no one speaks anymore. Sometimes I can't help to expose my wounds in daylight, amazed there's still a residue of ecstasy in my bones with as much potency as sorrow, holistic in its medicine. Suddenly, feathers are coming to me. I think they might have always been here. I was unable to see them for a time. Feathers show up on my doorstep at sundown, emerge from my pillow when I sleep, turn up in my pocket. Perhaps joy is also my power. When I find bluebird feathers underfoot, don't mistake my laughter for weakness. My ability to bear my scar for a moment as an opportunity to write me into fiction. Ecstasy is my true power, because it seems the thing you want to shame me for, the thing you want to damper in me. Ecstasy is in my blood, it's my birthright. My ability to feel such love should be as exalted as my wounds. So I'll pick up the feather and I'll listen, and it sings to me from the balcony of my mind, and it sings right through my heart with all of its grief, and it carries me to a place where aliveness leads to ascension. La Prefica. We will not have women dressed in black, no moaning wail that tore into your chest like an arrow. Now you're allowed to only think of the good times. There will be no tears. The decadence of being able to mourn in public, how you would in the silence of your room. In Napoli, Grandpa died suddenly in his sleep. From then on, Grandma wore black until the day she passed. And at the funeral, le prefiche, hired mourners, would enter the house screaming, would cry in the front pew, would walk down the street tearing at their hair, following horses in a glass carriage that carried the body of my grandfather through the cobbled streets as if he were in a fairy tale. Some say the departed need a wave of sufficient wailing, an abundance of tears to cross into the next life. I still carry an ocean inside of me that everyone can cross, a wailing for those who've passed, for those who keep coming. I'll pay one measure of wheat for their unbridled gestures of despair, their wild songs of praise, a macabre dance on cobblestone streets to mourn with the cults of the dead. Is the spirit in the flesh or just the bones? preserved in the mausoleums, a relic that liquefies on time, that guarantees a miracle, a heavy chest, a heart withholding the pressure of a mourning wail. And this last poem, the first few lines were inspired by our fellow friend and poet Avacha, and you'll know why. Gabish. When she says the word talk and coffee, I die inside. My heart warms to the sound of those words, as if I saw an old friend walk down the street who recognizes me in the place of no belonging. I don't know how far I've drifted now. They washed those words from my mouth and shoved missing letters on the end of my words, asked me to place my tongue at the top of my palate and repeat, take the time to talk to Tony, not take the time to talk to Tony. I feel like it's taking me a lifetime to know who I am, or what I'd say to Tony, the name of my uncle. I want to speak a language that we both don't feel embarrassed to understand, you know? I don't speak Italian, I speak Brooklynese, my father used to say. The mixed up words of Southern dialect and English, whose heavy sounds counted, the rolling sing-song Italian they never taught me, that I struggle so hard to learn now. We are like those words, jumbled with our own sign language. Only my hands truly understand who I am, a romantic curve shoved into a sharpened box in the name of survival. Still, I am trying to learn my native tongue, to speak with my nonna in dreams, but it does not exist anymore. My grandmother would ask me, Gabish Italian? And I was instructed to say, no Gabish, no Gabish. How badly I want to Gabish now, Gabish Italian. I feel as though I am drifting further from myself, a siren washed upon dry land, her gills heaving from exhaustion. Where is my song that moves like water? And if I were to sing it, what language would it be? Non Italiano, non dialect, a lost language of longing. Can't you see me from the shore waving my hands? Gabish, Gabish, Gabish. Sounds like waves hitting the side of a boat, lapping onto the black sand. I want to understand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's an interesting thing to create ceremony at distance to one another and do it collectively. And I'm feeling really pleased with the voices we're hearing. Our final reader is a friend, a really amazing poet. I believe you were the first poet laureate of El Cerrito. Were you the first?
Yes.
Something like that. Her new collection, Storage Unit for the Spirit House, should be out in October. I never say will be out on the date that I'm told the book will be out anymore. This is one of those lessons you learn. With any luck, my new book will be out in October as well, but it's hard to know. Maw is an extremely good compatriot for a caper and just a brilliant poet. Maw Shein
Hey.
Win.
Thank you, Kim and Paul, and to all of you for being here. And can you hear me okay? Yeah? It's just wonderful to hear everyone's poetry tonight, and I really needed this. So I've had a hard week, and I'd like to start with a new poem on the theme of healing, dedicated to my mother, Ayagunasari. She's a Bhikkhuni, which is a female Buddhist monk. Fires. 1. Roots awakened from ash. Small green shoots through ground. Fan palm and yucca. 2. My mother had a stroke. Helicoptered from Joshua Tree to Palm Springs. Tom and I toss our suitcases in the car. 3. We drive on the 5, pass a 3-car accident, see a body under a blanket. 4. Lobelia and eucalyptus, curatives for the lung. Controlled burns darken hillsides. 5. Incense cones in gold bowls, the surgeon calls. My mother will have a thrombectomy. The seminaries chant at the monastery. 6. Blaze burns young bark. A PT says she can lift one arm. Smell of smoke in the air. 7. We call on the phone, waiting in friend's casita, 112 degrees. 8. My mother speaks in whole sentences, can walk again. A miracle recovery, a nurse reports. 9. Redwood ash along highway, look up from car window, heading home, sky space. Thank you. This is called Gold Barns Above Sea Level. Sea feathers, sea whips, sea fins. How do we respond to touch? Look around now, and even they dream underwater and above, Jupiter on red, Mars in blue smoke. Silk stars, gold barns, follow the smoky trail to the end of the tunnel. Look around now, a child in a bathrobe waving a flag. Look around now, see the timid dogs and the brave cats with their stares up. And I haven't read this poem in a while, so I thought I'd read it tonight. And this is for my therapist. Are you in the room with me now? My therapist asked why I never cry. I asked myself the same, closing my eyes, a small sty in my vision. As hard as I tried not to cry, I was shy as a child. As I crossed the street with mother, I hid behind her lab coat, my throat taut and tight. I thought I might cry. The other night, I lost my sight. I could hear a couple on the crosswalk, a man doing a handstand, 2 kids making plans. Perhaps a chance to dance in another place. I could cross the state line, cry at the sight of a shimmering lake. My therapist asked, "What are you thinking? How does that make you feel? Where did that come from? And are you in the room with me now? In Rio, there is a majestic cross on a cliff. People live in pink paper shacks below. I danced and I drank there. I thought I might die there. I crossed myself, although I didn't believe. You sweat silver tears. You see through pink paper walls. You think your body might be crying now. And thank you. So this is a new piece, and this is called Thought Log #1. My mouth is being occupied. Sometimes I feel lonely, then I don't. I eat another bowl of kitchery, can taste the tiny chunks of ginger, sip detox tea, experience pangs of guilt for not working, notice the water in the vase turning green. I have a girl crush on Lissa, my PT. I ace the mountain pose. I dream of swinging on an old rope from the edge of a cliff. In another dream, I walk into a lit up room and see a giant X covered in sequins, a pillow between my legs. I believe in the healing power of crystals. Our calico is slowly dying. A ceramic swallow from Portugal, my husband's laughter from the study. I reimagine cures, sensory transmissions. Joe thought my hair had turned white due to pandemic stress. I can hear the wind more on the second floor. The pain therapist leads a guided visualization through a meadow. I swim in a field of pathogens. Suffering is wanting things to be different than they are. Twigs and lemons. I download my meditation app, chemical cascades of gratitude. I survived the Indian tsunami. Thoughts can increase inflammation. Shift to something more pleasant. Warrior pose. Endorphins occupy my brain receptors. And this is called MRI scan. Band marches through the crowd, chimes gong, a sound bridge, vibration of metal coils. There were drummers and wailing, promise of salvation, malediction, but no misfortune. There were seekers and preachers. Panic button, bang, bang, last sensation. And this is a childhood poem, which I wrote on the 4th of July. Still, I stand perfectly still in the classroom corner, wearing a paper dunce cap while balancing on one leg. A memory, knocking a pitcher of water off the countertop just to watch it shatter. Tonight I hear the fireworks outside, crackling the stillness inside. A thought, the story of a girl who had tumbled into a cave and crawled her way out. Alive and quiet, I wear a red cloak to the 4th of July picnic. I stand still aside a pine tree. 3 sap land on my cheek. I focus my eye on a cave swallow until the fireworks end. Thank you. And this is called Spirit House 5. As a child, I did not climb trees. Instead, I gathered leaves that flew to the ground. The elms were tall in the fall. The neighbor boys cruel. One left a dead kitten in a box on the doorstep. I made homes among the leaves, safety in gold, yellow, brown. Invented a family who lived in a treehouse. Green twig, the mother. Broken branch, the father. 2 ferns, the missing sisters. Thank you. And this is called Snake. Pain coiled below the scalp. Spine curled in ball on calfskin sofa. Hydrocodone and THC bath salts from town. Snake ascends from curving spine. Grass gathers along forearms. Foam brace holds neck up straight. Snake in a patch near the crown. Curving road ahead veers in the dark. Musculoskeletal x-rays flash in brain. Rip of pain zips from hip. Ginger and turmeric roots grow under hair. Rhizome shoots appear on shoulder blades. And this is my second to last poem. And this is called Lost Horse Valley. Lost Horse Valley. The horse is lost. Needles from a Joshua tree, cholla and ocotillo, quail, cadet gray, moonlit, wire lettuce, antlion wings. He passes into the valley. Left behind 3 containers of Quaker oats, bitter black tea in a cup, empty suitcases tied together with twine, a dusty army cap in the kitchen corner. The youngest daughter clips his toenail as the monitor slows. Another daughter flies over the valley. Thank you, everyone. And my last poem is called Blue Lines. And this is for Tom. We walk around the block, 2 masked bandits. Golden poppies burn our eyes. These days we count the pains, follow blue lines on charts. I ice my arthritic knee. Tom cooks for us yellow lentils, red rice, warm squash. Take turns waking at 4 a.m. From the 2nd floor window, I watch a woman below working in her garden, weeding, watering. Wild rose and zinnias abound. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Hey, everybody. You can turn on your sound and cheer for all of our poets now. Shirley, Jennifer, everybody. I think it just occurred to me this was yet another all-female reading. I'm not going to say anything about why the healing readings seem to go that way. Thank you so much. I really needed that, and I hope it helped other people as well. I really appreciate everyone's work to make these things happen. Also, thanks to Paul Corman Roberts, who just basically makes my life work in many ways these days. And for your work with the owls. I'm really delighted that we get to tap into that group for readers. Also, Kara Morrison, who, you know, shares her students with us and all of that. Totally amazing. And
Am I allowed to speak on that?
go ahead.
Pride doesn't even come close to Shirley's and Anastasia's debut this evening. I'm in awe, and I gotta say, I hope I see them in more readings from here on out. So I miss my classroom, I miss my kids, and it was very hard not to get emotional. And I mean, just beautifully crafted work. I couldn't be more proud. So, and I'm just grateful to you two that you do this. So what a great, what a great opportunity. I'm grateful to you, Kim and Paul.
Thank you.
I'm grateful to you too, Christy.
Seriously, there are a lot of poetic heroes in this room, right here, if we can call it a room. And I'm grateful for all of you being here. I would call everybody out, but it's, you know, it is what it is. So we're going to end this now, but thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Oh, just saying goodbye.
Oh, okay. And poets should be getting mail from me quickly.
There's an owl there. Listening.
Thank you so much.
Kim, you said that you're going to tell us what was bothering you?
Oh, my pop, I got a phone call this morning from my mother, which is never a good thing. And my dad was going into the emergency room. So,
I'm sorry.
And he has not yet emerged.
Oh.
That and my computer blew up. There's a bunch of stuff going on, but that's pretty much the big one right now.
Yes, no doubt.
So I really felt your poem.
All the blessings and hugs for you tonight, Kim.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he's cleaned his act up, but he certainly was trying for some kind of health problem for years and years. Hopefully he has not achieved one. Anyway, best luck to everybody, and thank you again.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, beautiful poetry community.
I love you all.
Hey, Genevieve.
Thank you, Paul and Kim.
It's over, right?
Yes, it is.
So
congratulations, your reading was very good.
Love you, Kim. I'll let it's the moon's full.
It is, and we're just past Lammas. So
that was the reason for the reading being tonight, was for the full moon.
Love it. Couldn't pick a better night.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe write something to your dad and burn it.
Yeah. We'll see how it all goes. Anyway, darlings, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Bye, beautiful people.